Hello viewers, welcome again to your favorite family show, The Living Room, right here on Equa Television International. In the last couple of episodes, we've been talking about friendship because we need friends in our lives and we have to have good friends. And on the set here with me, we have people who have been discussing this very serious, important issue. We have Mrs. Ibi Namo.
Good evening, viewers.
Yes, and Mr. Toby Salau, also Uncle T.
Yeah.
If you call him that, Toby, you're welcome.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for having me again.
yes.
Good evening, our viewers.
And me, Amaka Ucheke. So we're here talking about friendship. And we didn't totally finish last week. When we were here, we were talking about toxic relationships, friendships that you should run away from. So, Toby, let's go back again. What are the signs and features of those kind of friendships that you should re-evaluate and decide whether you should be there or you should be running with your heels touching the back of your head?
Okay, thank you again for having me, and good evening again, our esteemed viewers. The last time we did speak about friends who compete with you. So when you see that a person is beginning to compete with you, everything is about, I also want to do this, or I also want to do that, or they want to outshine you, then you know that there's a problem with this kind of relationship. Also, friends who are self-centered, that everything is about themselves, how they benefit, how it is that it's all about them. You know, those are signs that this person, you should avoid the person. Then people who don't have your best interests at heart. Those are people that you want to be careful about how you relate with them. People who don't inspire you, people who don't, you know, get the best out of you. Those are people that you want to be careful about. There are certain people that they are just critics. That's all they are. I mean, even to the best of their friends, they just criticize. Everything is negative. Everything they see is negative. There's nothing good about you. You don't have any strengths. You don't have any great points or great sides. Those kind of people should be avoided. And one of the things we did say in the last episode was that some of these traits or signs are not one-off. So if you see them happen over time, you can draw a pattern with them, then you need to be careful. Some happen one-off. Sometimes we are all selfish, you know, at some point you're just thinking about yourself. Sometimes we are overwhelmed with our own life's issues that we just think about solving our problems.
We're not nice.
We're not nice, as it were. So which is fine, happens once in a while. But if it's perpetual, that's your lifestyle. Persistent pattern, then you need to be wary, because that person is not a friend. People who cannot give, people who cannot sacrifice for you. You know, a good friend would lay down his life for his friend, you know. So if you cannot sacrifice, you can't give, you can't help out. One of the things, again, if you remember we did say, is the fact that we meet good friends at the point of our needs. Where we actually meet and we say, this is my friend, you know, is when I'm in need.
That's when you test
That's
the
when
friendship.
you test the friendship. In fact, some people, that's where they meet their friends, their life friends, because they met them at the point of critical need. You know, one of my colleagues was sharing an instance where she met a lady called her while I was with him in the office, and he was narrating the history of that friendship to me, and it was amazing. They met at a hospital where they did a screening. Apparently, they did a HIV screening for the person, and he noticed that they were about to break the news to her, and she was HIV positive. And he, from his experience, knew that this lady is not in the right frame of mind to receive this news. They hadn't counseled her, they hadn't done anything. So he went and sat by her and began a conversation just to prepare her mind and encourage her and just get to know her. And it took a lot of burden off her. I think he eventually paid for one of the services in the clinic that day. She never forgot him. She calls him regularly. They are in touch. She's happy that someone has impacted her life positively. So the point is, people who are not there for you, people who cannot sacrifice, they can't give, they don't meet your need, they don't solve problems for you, or at least give you an idea of how to solve those problems, you can't say that those are your friends. Maybe they are just acquaintances, people you met along life's journey. Because I think one of the other challenge we made mention of is that sometimes we don't even know who a friend is. Who is your friend? Is your friend someone in your class? Is your friend someone in church? Or someone you talk to, or someone who when you are bored, you pick up your phone and you just chat with the person and you know that they will always send you a message back. Is that friendship? No. We believe that friendship goes, beyond that. It has to do with you sharing the same values, having the same set of orientation, and then liking the same things, having basically the same values, and then the person is present for you. The person is someone that you can rely on. So the other issue is that someone that you can't rely upon, you can't say, this is my friend. And then you need to run away from such people. I have a number of those kind of people in my life. I don't call them friends.
Okay,
they are not dependable. They're not dependable. It's as literal as they are never on time, for instance. Okay, maybe at 6 p.m. tonight, we'll be going out. Every time you have a time arrangement, there's one reason or the other that they never make it. So those people, I don't call them friends. I know them. we talk. We know ourselves. Yes, but they are not friends. No, you can't be my friend like that, because if I try you once,
you can't depend on them.
Your friend should be able to depend on you. You should be dependable. Yes, you are a human being, you are not God, but to a very significant extent.
Consistently, you fall our hand.
Yes, when you do that, people can't trust you. That's what it means. And when it really matters, they won't remember you. So, and then you start saying things like life is unfair, God is not fair, but you are not. The discipline of consistency is absent in such lives. And you cannot, nobody likes those kind of people. If you really ask them, they cannot befriend themselves.
So, Mrs. Namo, can you also speak to that?
Another part of it,
friendships to run away from.
Another part of it is for the young, especially for the young. I think even for the adult, friends who encourage you to do the wrong things.
Yeah, I think you said that last time.
Yeah, I think they are the type of friends that you should run away from. You know, maybe you are a married woman, you are having issues with your husband. These friends will come and say, see, let me tell you what you should do to you, how you should deal with that man. Show him this, show him that. Or your friend as a young person will tell you how to sneak out of the house, how to steal from your parents, how to go for night party and come back and your parents not knowing. Those are not friends. Yeah, I remember people who encourage you to do the wrong things.
I remember while growing up, in our neighborhood, we had a spate of women pouring husbands hot water. And they said there was a woman who had been advising them, yes, that if your husband is philandering, pour him hot water. And after they had done all that, even one poured her husband acid, the man died. They now found out that her own husband was the greatest philanderer, and she didn't used to talk.
You know, it's actually,
she didn't used to talk. The husband would do anything he's doing. She didn't say anything, but she advised other people to pour
actually,
hot water on their
you see,
husbands.
these people who encourage you to do the wrong thing, they stay in the worst of situation and they don't take such advice. They cannot, like he said, they can't befriend themselves. They cannot give such advice to themselves. But they give such most times it is out of envy. They see that your family, your friend, your home is working, or your parents are doing well with you, and they are looking at you and telling you, see, you are allowing your parents to control you too much. You are a big boy now, you are a big girl now, you need to talk to your parents, you need to be bold.
Show them off.
Tell your parents, my old man cannot do that. And such a boy, if you go to his own house, he can't even look his old man in the eye, yet he tells you that his old man cannot talk to him like that. He wants you to sneak out of the house. You steal money to give him. Has he ever stolen money to give you? You know, such friends, you should really run away from them. So what
we're saying is we need to buy sense for ourselves.
Yes,
when you notice
we need to buy sense.
Okay, when you notice that these friends, or this relationship isn't working, is not the kind of relationship you should be in, this is a bad friendship, what do you do? How can you get out? Because sometimes people don't know how to get out. They are like, this one has been my friend since we're in primary school. this one, we are family friends, even our parents are friends. Or this, you know, or this person has done something for me. Like, I think Toby said at the last episode, he gave an example of somebody who was gaslighting. He will beat you, then he will
Buy gift for you.
send you to Dubai, beat you again, send you to Dubai. You know, you have friends like that. You may not be that extreme, but they do things that hurt you. They tell you sorry, or they buy you ice cream and do it again. You know, stuff like that. So what do you do? How do you get out of this friendship? Because sometimes it's also difficult because your families also know yourselves. Yeah. You know, your families, you know, so you don't even know how to explain to your mother or your father that this person is no more your friend. Sometimes it may even be your parents who encourage you into the friendship. Say, this boy is a very good boy. I want you to be friends with him. So what can you do?
You have to learn to take your stand. Especially as adults, we have to learn to say, it's not everything you say yes to. I used to say that I worked with the bishop, you know, for a few years. One of the things he likes is people who tell him no when they cannot do something. He hates yes men because yes people are not people. That means you don't have, anybody can control you. You have to get to a point in your life where you are able to say, I can't do this anymore. This friendship, I cannot do it anymore. And you take your time to explain to your parents. If they don't understand, you say, with time, you people will understand. But for now, I don't think I can continue with friendship with this person. And you be able to tell the person to his face or her face that this friendship cannot work. And you know, sometimes some of these friends, when you tell them, they will cry, you want to leave me, please, now don't leave me. Say, no, it has to stop because I cannot consistently be hurting myself because of you. I have come to a breaking point. Right now, I'm not ready for it. I pray that God will give you better friend. And you know, something happened this afternoon. I was watching a program and the wife was bullying the husband. And she goes outside to make people see herself as an advocate of women who are being bullied. And she was the one bullying her husband. And the man was taking everything until the man got to a breaking point. So the man moved out of the house and left her. So she started begging that she has seen a psychiatrist, she's changing. The man said, okay, I will give you 3 years to work on yourself. Wow. After 3 years, I will come back to the house for 6 months. And if I notice that you have changed, then we will continue with this marriage. If not, I will find my way. You see, you need to get to a point where you are able to say, enough is enough. The truth is, you can't change people. You can't. I will be praying for you, for God to change you. I will still believe in you. If I have anything to help you, I will help you. But friendship come at this point. Please, I need a space.
Okay, just a brief disclaimer before people will put us out of context.
Yeah.
She's giving an example from a movie she watched.
Yes, not
and we're talking
real
about
life.
friendship. So please, don't tomorrow said we told you in the living room that you should leave your wife because your wife is difficult. Wife own is a different matter. We are not talking about leaving your marriage. We're talking about friends, what to do. So please don't go and tell your pastor that we said. Toby, did you say that?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't say that.
All right,
and the beautiful part of even that story she's talking about is that the guy has hopes of coming back.
Yes.
So that's not what you have said.
So just to add to what she has shared, very important to learn to say no. I think that you also need to know yourself, know who you are, what are your values. That's where it starts. So that also helps you to define your relationships or your friendships. You see, one of the mistakes that we often make is that we put everybody in the same category of friends. And it's not possible, it's not true. I give you an instance. You meet me today for the first time. You invite me to your home, which is beautiful, it's okay. I want to ask you, will you keep me in the living room or you take me to your bedroom?
Living room now.
Chances are great that I will not even see your dining room. You just leave me in the first, whatever room that is the first room. Why? Because friendships take time to build. And come alongside friendship is what we call trust, is what we call confidence and all. So if you don't know me, you can't take me to your living room. It's the same way it works. We treat everybody the same. And this is not to discriminate against people, but it's just to say that categorizing people and giving value to them based on who they are to you is
It's
important.
very, very important.
Because people just categorize everybody, say they are my friends. You'll be hurt, you'll be disappointed, you'll be depressed. You may kill yourself. Because certain people don't have the capacity to become close friends. They don't even have what it takes. So you put them where they are. Dealing with difficult friendships, or how do you deal with it? So when you know that this person is not, there are limits. This person, this is where they should be, you put them in that space. You don't need to treat them as bad people. No, they are not bad people. They may not be bad people. It's just that as far as friendship is concerned, they are not there, or they are not there yet. So leave them where they are. It doesn't mean that because there are people, for instance, that they don't have the intelligence to handle what we call secrets, for instance. And that's a hallmark of a good friend. So I shouldn't tell you something, then I'm hearing it as a prayer point in another place.
Somebody's house.
See that there's already a problem. You can't say that's your friend, really. I should be able to hold you in confidence. Those are traits and hallmarks of friendship. So if you notice that this person doesn't have the ability to keep mute, you keep them where they are at that level. They are not bad people. You don't hate them. You don't call them names. You don't report them.
You don't tell them your secrets.
But you don't tell them.
But if you have gist you want people to hear,
you can tell the gist for the public. For the public.
If you want people to help you publicize
you can tell them those things.
So
then you look for other people who you can trust. Now, until you find people you can trust, keep your issues to yourself. And in fact, that's why we have the Holy Spirit. And this is not, to spiritualize the conversation like some people often think. That's why you have the Holy Spirit. He is a person. He's not a thing, he's a person. You can have intimate, heartfelt conversations with him. If you do not want to converse with a human friend, if you don't have one, have that conversation with the Holy Spirit. Express yourself, sometimes in tears, sometimes in laughter. Like my mother-in-law will always say, sometimes when the matter really gets to the matter, she goes to the room, she'll pick a chair, put it in front of her, she'll sit, you say, God, sit down. We need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Do you want me to die? This burden is too much for me. So she speaks to God as though he were to a person. And you will be surprised the kind of strength she draws from that experience. Because God is actually real. So I'm saying that until you have that kind of friend, keep the issues to yourself and trust God. Relate those things to him. Now, there are some people you need to leave. You need to walk out of certain relationships. Don't be afraid to walk out of them. An important concept that I heard this evening is when you walk out of a relationship, keep the dignity of the other person. Yeah. And that's important. Sometimes that shows love. That shows that you are being a human being too. Because sometimes we are the bad persons in other people's story. And whether we like it or not, that's the reality. Sometimes I'm the one that is not a good friend. There was a relationship that I had to reassess very recently. We were always visiting the people. We were always calling to check on them. Those guys as if they never cared. So I told my wife one of the days, I said, look, I don't know how you see it, but I'm tired. There's no point. We are the ones always calling. We go and visit with the children, everything. And it's always as if, you guys are here again. Okay. They are just tolerating you, and you don't need it. So you walk away. But while walking away, keep the dignity of the person, because it's important. That shows what that means is that do not assault the person in the process. Do not make the person feel less of themselves in the process. Don't cause a show because you are exiting a relationship. Don't go and cause a scene because probably they've hurt you or anything. No. We don't
publicly too.
Publicly,
or
no,
go and
don't
tell bad-mouthing the person to
those
other
are the
people.
things you don't do that.
Yeah.
Remember that you have a value. You have values, and our values are drawn from the scripture as believers, as Christians, and we are Christians. We don't pay back evil for evil. Yeah. We pay back evil with good. Yeah. So what that means is that although that relationship didn't end well, so maybe a helpful principle is ensure that your relationships, even when they end, that you can still talk to the person tomorrow. Some people cannot talk to their former friends tomorrow. They can't, because it ended bad. It ended with a public show. It ended with a fight, literally, with abuse, with insults, with families opposing each other. And many people have taken on board generational
Friendship,
quarrels,
quarrels
fights.
because of this conversation we're having, and because people do not know how to end relationships, maintaining.
Okay. So, okay, what if maybe you're a coward, maybe like me, I may not be able to maybe I may not be able to, as she said, confront the person to say, look, this friendship, I'm fearful, I don't want to have a confrontation, I don't want to talk to the person about it. I don't want the relationship, I don't want to talk to the person. What can I do?
Well, I think that you can, talking verbally is not the only way we communicate. You can write it. You can text it. You can WhatsApp it, and ensure that you ensure that the person got the message, because it's also important the person gets the message. But you see, if you are really going to end a relationship and end it well, it's good to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And generally, even in life, if you are going to, communication is the life wire of any relationship. If you are going to enjoy a relationship, you must communicate. And the best part of it is talking about it. Now, I mean, some of our viewers will be saying, well, some people are not able to speak because of a disability, but they have a way to communicate. So
You just need to, you need to,
relationship.
you just need to
like
talk about it. You just need to talk, because
sometimes, even though they are friends, they may be contemporaries.
Yeah.
Some are bullies.
Yes.
They make you do what you don't want to do. They treat you in very, as you said, derogatory ways.
Yes.
They talk to you.
Yeah.
They talk down at you. You are kind of afraid of them. Let me put it like that. You don't want again. But
I
how
think
to
that's
out?
why we're saying, before you think of being a friend, you need to work on yourself.
Okay, what if I didn't work on I didn't do all those things? I just entered this relationship.
That means that you have to go back and work on yourself.
it may be that opportunity.
That might be an
To
opportunity
work
for
on
you to
yourself.
work on
Because
yourself.
there are certain, I give you an instance to myself. I've grown a lot in terms of my emotional stability, my mental capacity, as a result of difficult friendships or relationships, especially at the workplace. So of late, I've been having brutal, honest conversations with all my colleagues, and those
How is it going?
conversations are not easy. But I discovered that I'm better for it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you are not yet at that point where you think that you are mature enough
difficult
to have
conversations.
difficult conversations. But it may be that school you need to go through. Now remember that God brings people our way to. Some are here to bless us in terms of giving to us, for instance. Others, God wants to use them to develop strength and character in us. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that friend can be the source of God using that. Because sometimes when you say, God, I'm available, use me, what you are saying is really a dangerous prayer. Or God, make me, mold me, try me. It's a very, very dangerous prayer. Because God, it is his pleasure to honor those prayers. Because what that means is that he's going to bring circumstances your way that will try you, that will test you, that will test your ability or capacity to hold on or to go through tough things. So I give you an instance with one of my colleagues, and we had a conversation in my office, and we were telling ourselves very, very brutal truths.
Wow.
And we were looking each other in the face, and the conversation was ongoing. I mean, you can't check out, you can't say I'm not. So the person would say certain things that I felt were untrue, they were unfair, they were hurtful to me. But I stayed in the room and I had the conversation. And I told him that I'm sorry that's the impression you got, but that was not the intention. And some other places that I felt he was right about certain things I did, I told him I was sorry that I did those things, but you pushed me to the wall, or I didn't trust you. You know, those kind of conversations. I tell you that we are the closest people in my office right now, because we are building trust now. And we had to have that conversation. I didn't know that he didn't feel good about me. I didn't feel good about him for about 2 years and counting, until we had that conversation. So the point is that God brings certain people our way so that it builds character in us. There is nothing that is worth it that doesn't go through pain and trouble and trials. In fact, that's what the Bible says in James. It says that count it all joy when you go through diverse trials. I mean, the gold that we celebrate today, how many karat, it goes through fire. Diamond goes through a lot of pressure. So you really cannot be refined if you don't go through that pressure of addressing those issues. And believe you me, communicating honestly is difficult.
It's difficult,
And that's
but
why
it is a
many
necessity.
Many
You
people
just
walk
have
out
to
of
communicate.
relationships because they just don't want to talk about it. And I know a number of people, and they walk out of even marriages, unfortunately, because they just don't want to talk about it. And that's why the first offense came. You swept it under the carpet because you did not want to talk about it. The second thing came, you swept it under the carpet because you feel, I can't handle this conversation. Madam, have that conversation.
You train yourself to talk about this thing. It's just like you have to train yourself. You have to make a conscious effort to train yourself to talk about this thing. It's not going to be easy. We're not telling you, oh, it's going to be easy.
Okay,
But
so I shouldn't, if I
you-
want to block the person on my
before
phone,
you block the person,
I block
you
you. I don't want to
talk-
talk to you. I
No,
don't want.
no,
I don't
no,
want.
no. You
Make a
have to
statement
talk, make a
Express
statement,
what is in your
express
heart.
what is
Let
in
the
your mind,
person
and let
know.
the person respond. Except if you express and he refuses to respond, but you have made a statement.
So what
Talk
you're saying
about
is,
it.
as Christians,
We need to
even when we
talk
need to
about
walk
it.
out of a
Yeah.
relationship, we need to give feedback to
Exactly.
say, this is what is happening. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
Because you're also helping the person.
Yeah.
You know, many people do not
May
know
not
that the
even
things
know
they are
they're
doing,
doing is
are not,
hurting people,
It's
yeah.
hurting people and they are not right.
Yeah.
Many people don't even know because that's all they've known. Some based on their experiences, some on their backgrounds. That's all they know to do.
Yeah.
So you are actually helping the person by providing that feedback that you are not considerate, for instance, or you are not there. You are not the kind of person that one can have confidence in. Why those words may be hurtful, but you also
They are the
need to be
truth.
honest. They are the truth. You need to be able to express how you feel. And the other issue that I think is very important is that we must learn not to derive value from people.
That's
You
why
must-
you
we
need
talked
to
about
work on
it.
yourself.
We have
Yeah.
talked about it, but we need to develop ourselves.
Yeah.
Have your own self-esteem.
Exactly.
And again, not to spiritualize the issue, you must derive your self-esteem from God himself.
Yeah.
Because that's, you were made
God
in
must be
his
enough.
image. He must be enough for you.
Don't
He
be
says to
over-dependent
Abraham, I will
on
make you
anybody.
an exceeding great, that I am your exceeding great
Great
reward. What that means is that it doesn't matter what Abraham had or did not have, temporal speaking, that God was enough for him. Now, I came to a point, let me just tell myself, I came to a point where I had to believe that God is enough for me. That it doesn't matter what you think about me. I'm not going to build my life around your opinion, because
Exactly.
really what you say is an opinion. And we've seen people commit suicide because of opinion.
People's
Opinion.
opinions.
I've
Yeah.
heard people, growing up, obviously I'm on the big side. So growing up, I had all sorts of name calling
Really?
from primary school. All
I
the
thought
way.
it's girls they do that too. I didn't know they do that to
Boys, all
boys.
sorts of names, both in the local dialect, in English, and all of that. In fact, it was so bad, even in my family. Some were saying that very soon, the way you are going, your heart will not be able to pump blood to your body. That
you
your
imagine?
body is too heavy for your heart to.
To a
even pump.
child,
Yeah. But you see,
that's
so
so nice.
it helped me because I now had to learn to build my self-esteem based on that I'm wonderfully and fearfully made.
Oh.
It's not because of what my friend
Well
says
said.
that will make me feel good or otherwise. So you must be able to build your self-confidence, your self-esteem in God, in who God says you are. And this thing is very important because even in choosing a life partner, it's a serious issue. You cannot afford to say yes to a man just because he says you look beautiful. A man would
You're
follow
already
anything he gets.
beautiful. You're already beautiful.
do
He
it.
doesn't need. You
So,
don't
and
need his
beauty is in the
compliments.
eye of the beholder. That's what they
Yes,
say. And I think it's true. That knows that you want to do plastic surgery.
There's
That
somebody
you
who
think
likes
that,
it.
that your husband that God has fashioned for you, that is what he's looking for. And he's been going from campus to campus,
Campus looking for somebody
a
with
nose
flat
that is like
nose.
that. I just, oh God, I just want this kind of nose. But that's what my sister wants to go and change. Because she feels she's been told that she's ugly. So that was the kind of conversation that Eve was having with the serpent, and the serpent was having with Eve. And that's why when God came, the question is, who told you?
Who told you?
Who told you? you've been talking to somebody, you've been having a conversation with somebody
They shouldn't be
that
having-
you shouldn't be having a conversation with. So I think the challenge for our viewers, esteemed viewers, this evening is, who have you been talking to? Who is saying those things to you? Who is saying that you are ugly? Who is saying, look at the way you are, see the way your legs are, they are not even straight? Who is saying that you see as a girl, you have hair all over your body, you are not even looking romantic, you are not looking sexy? Can we say to you that you are wonderfully and fearfully made, and that it is important that you build your self-esteem from God, because you are made in His image? When you do that, you can now choose your friends wisely.
Wisely.
You will not be under pressure to choose a friend, because you call the shots. You already know who God says you are. So you can now say, who aligns with who God says I am? Is it Ngozi? Is it Ladi? Is it Rebecca? Is it John? Is it Joshua? Is it Joseph? Then you say, Joseph, come. You look like someone that we heading the same way.
The same
with.
direction.
The same direction. Then you move. Otherwise, don't be afraid. Say no to certain relationships. Don't be under pressure.
Okay. We've been talking about friendship, and we've talked about toxic relationships, friendships we should run away from, and how to get out of those relationships. We've also talked about the importance of our self-esteem. So Toby has just told us about examples with himself and kind of things they tell people. You're not beautiful, your nose is not fine, you are too skinny. Me, they used to tell me I was too skinny. My front and back, the same thing, figure one, stuff like that. Your hand, your veins are showing, your hand is like a witch's own, stuff like that, yes. Yes, and those are difficult things for children and young people to grow up with, but we have to have our confidence in God. We need to know who we are. So right now we'll be going on break. When we come back, our numbers will be on the screen so that you can join this conversation about toxic relationships. And when we come back from break, we'll be talking about how to have those difficult conversations, because I know that many of us run away from having difficult conversations. It's too hard. It's too hard. So we will go on break and we'll come back and we'll continue that conversation.
The gospel of Jesus Christ is our Heavenly Father's plan for the happiness and salvation of His children. Equa Television International shares the gospel of Jesus Christ because the world must come to the realization of the power in the atonement of sin through the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ. Sharing with the world the message of hope that can clean anyone from sin to enjoy the peace that is in Him. Equa Television International is live 24/7, preaching the message of salvation and truth to the world. Pray for Equa TV. Support Equa TV. Be part of Equa TV. Keep watching Equa Television International.
Hello viewers, welcome back from the break. We're right here at the living room on Equa Television talking about friendship. We've been talking about bad friendships, toxic relationships that we all need to run away from. And we've talked about how to run away from them. Here on set with me has been Mrs. Namo, Mrs. IB Namo, Mr. Toby Salau, and myself, Amaka Ucheke, talking about how to run away from toxic relationships. And one of the things that's come up is the fact that we need to have conversations as Christians when we're exiting relationships, so that we're helping the other person to know where we are going, and it would also help the other person to grow if they want to grow. But we can't run away, block them, switch off our phones, and not, let them know what is going on. We must talk to them send them a message if we are too cowardly maybe or fearful, let me put it like that, to speak with them. We can send a message, or we can tell somebody to help us go and tell them that this is what we're saying, or write it down and send to them. So having difficult conversations, and that's maybe live, face-to-face conversations. Toby, you seem to now be an expert on this. How do we have difficult conversations? And people have said that when you are talking with people, especially when you are going to give bad news or say something that is negative, that you should use sandwich method. Say something nice before you now say something bad. So how do we go about having difficult conversations?
Yeah, thank you. I'm not an expert at it.
I know, I'm just putting
I
your
know.
legs.
But I think I've had quite a number of honest conversations, so I think I can share. I think the first thing that would inspire you, because it's good to know why you need to have those conversations so that you can have the conversations, is that you will always have difficult relationships throughout your life. You can't run away from it. You will always have if it's not your spouse, it will be your children. Really, if it's not your children, it's your pastor maybe, or your group leader somewhere, or your colleague at work. There will always be difficult relationships.
So we must learn it.
We must learn it. That's I'm. It's not sounding inspiring, but I wish I'm inspiring someone to see the reason why you should know how to, right? Because you will always encounter it along life's journey. So what do? Do you run away from all relationships? No, the answer is no. It's not every relationship we just check out of. Or
And
check out from.
some we may not check out, but you just keep quiet and bottle it in.
Yes,
and then one day you
suffer in
explode.
silence and suffer. And
One
that's
day you
why
explode.
I think, was it the last episode? You just hear that wife stabs husband 7 times and dumps body on Babbage, or white woman jumps over the bridge, or man
Pushes
drinks
wife down
poison,
the
pushes
stairs.
that. Those things don't just happen. I know that there's spiritual activity. I know that demons possess people and they do funny things, but those things are an accumulation of years and years of silence. So if we will always have difficult relationships, then we must learn how to manage them. That's the first thing I want to establish. So what do? You make up your mind that this conversation can go 2 ways. It can go bad, or it can go good.
Or neutral.
Well, it can be neutral. It will either go bad,
Yeah.
or it will go good. Well, it can be okay. Maybe that's neutral.
Just there.
Yeah, it's just there. You should also be prepared not to be a saint. Be prepared to take some heat. I think it's also important, because because you are not a saint. There are things that you have done
But we're
that you
saints
may
now.
not.
I mean, we are not perfect. But
Yeah, we're
saints
not
now.
perfect. I think that's what I meant. We're not perfect.
Yeah, we are not perfect.
Yes,
So we
yes.
could do things wrong.
We could. And even that relationship we're complaining about, we could be the root of the problem, not the other person. So be willing, be open to have the conversation. Don't be defensive. That's important. Don't go into the meeting room all defensive. You're like, I'll just tell him my mind. And once I'm done, we just end it, then I get out. No, don't do that. Have an open mind. Say, perhaps I also I had a role to play in what went wrong. I am to blame.
So be willing to
be
get
willing
feedback
to
too.
get feedback. Very, very important. So, for instance, in that case, I was willing to have feedback, and I was truly willing to have a feedback. So, ensure that the environment is also safe. And what I mean by that, be sure that it's a safe space to have the conversation. You don't have the conversation in a place where there's tension, there's pressure.
Alone with locked doors or something like
with
that.
the person, or maybe there's been an incident in that location before between both of you, or maybe between you and someone else, because that is going to remind you of a lot of things, and that conversation may not end well. You get apprehensive and you get tensed up and all that. So have it in a safe place. Listen to that person when you are speaking. When the person is speaking to you, listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. Oftentimes we listen to respond. You're just waiting. In fact, you're tapping your feet.
Defense now.
Now, just
Wow,
when
so
you are
I
done,
said my
just bring it
I
on.
said that the other
You know,
time.
when just
listen
bring it on,
to
just bring. When you are
understand.
done, then you pick your own. No, just listen to understand the person, then you respond. It's also important for you to apologize where you need to. Those are the things that make conversations go well.
Don't
apologize.
justify
Don't justify your wrong
actions.
Don't even if you have a reason to justify it. If you can state your reason, beautiful. But where
But you
cannot,
still did wrong.
You still did wrong. Admit and apologize that you did wrong. The other thing was what you mentioned, the sandwich method or something that you said. It's an important part because it came up in my own in that incident I was giving. You know, the guy said great things about me. He said that in fact he looked up to me. He said different things. Then I said things about him too, not to hype him, but because it was also the truth.
The truth. The
You
good
see,
things.
because oftentimes we are blind to the good sides of people and we magnify their bad sides. And I don't think that there's anybody that is totally bad, because we are human beings. So I'm
somebody
saying,
said that there are good things to see in the devil. that
even
he's
the devil, if you
hardworking,
look,
that he's hardworking and
if you look
persistent,
closely
and that
enough,
he doesn't give up.
he doesn't give up. If you look closely enough, even in the book of Job, we see that God was asking, where have you been? Say, I'm going to and fro. Is that not supervision? Is that not hard? If some parents do that alone, their kids will not go bad.
Yeah.
You know, so if you look close enough, there's some great thing about even that person you're complaining about. So be willing, be open to have the conversation. Now, when you have done all these things, let the conversation flow. Don't determine the end from the beginning. Always have a good end in mind. It may not turn out like that, but always be optimistic that we can salvage this relationship. So those are things that can help you in having those conversations. So if you cannot look the person in the eye or in the face, do your best to just be present in the conversation. You may want to look away initially, but when you think you've summoned enough confidence or courage to look the person in the face, then you do it. It's a decision you make. Your will must be active in that decision. I give you an instance. My wife and I said to ourselves that as much as possible, we'll try to have conversations with people. So in our church, something happened, an elderly woman, certain things happened with my wife, and my wife was really hurt and felt very bad. So she got home, she said this thing led to a lot of tears and all. So I said to her, we need to meet her. So she said, okay, no problem. Now, as far as this guy, I will be there. So I thought I will be there now. So after the service, one of the days, we actually told this woman that we wanted to meet with her. And she said, no problem. So we sat. So I introduced the conversation. So she became defensive. And it really got my wife bad because she was like, I told you this was not a very good idea. So she now said, okay, my wife went and told people about what happened. And I said, hello, I'm her husband. I'm not people. I'm her husband. And I have a right to know, what is taking the peace of my wife. So we had the conversation and she said, okay, now if it's that, she's sorry. She didn't know that what she did, she offended her like that. And we had the conversation. As I speak to you, the woman is late. She has gone to be with the Lord. If we did not have that conversation,
You feel so bad.
we will not be happy because we feel like this woman, and she hurt us, she did this. So sometimes you don't even know how it will all end. It's better you have that conversation. Finally on this is that we all walk around with assumptions. And they are assumptions because you've not confirmed them, you've not verified them.
Not explored it.
You've not explored. You don't know the truth you don't know what is material in the conversation. You just assume, and we all have assumptions. Someone is looking at me, maybe a viewer is looking at me now, and just assuming that this guy, from the way he's talking, is a very proud person. It's an assumption.
Yeah.
And what it means is that the person may be right, the person may be wrong. But we have not confirmed or verified. We assume a lot about people and their circumstances. Talking about it clarifies your assumptions. So in that case of my instance with my colleague, I was hearing things for the first time, things that he was saying about me and that people were also saying about me, that even me, when somebody is telling you something about yourself, I just hearing it for the first time. I said, what? It shocked me. I was like, what is this? Is this real? So when the guy now heard the way I was sounding, he himself felt bad that he held on to those assumptions because they were not true. I'm saying to you that there are many times that you assume a lot of things about people, and those assumptions they're just in your mind, they are just in your head. When you have those conversations, you clarify them. It helps you to know why they did what they did. It helps you to know why they said what they said. It helps you to clarify a lot of things. So it is not an option. If you're in the conversation, you're more mature, you are more experienced. It helps you to learn more. You know how to manage conversations. You know how to handle people. You know how to even get into relationships in the first place. Because chances are that if you just get in, you will get out like that. So because you should not just get into a friendship just like that. There are procedures. And what do I mean by there is values clarification that you must do before you get into a relationship. Because the person looks good and speaks nice or even speaks church language does not mean that they are good friends. It just means that you need to observe them to be sure that you truly, truly share the same values, you know. So those are helpful tips in my estimation that can help to have those kind of heartfelt conversations. I don't know if that's helpful.
I did you want to add something?
You know, someone, I understand that one popular politician said that they were saying, let us forget about our differences. And he said, no, let us understand our differences so that we can work together. So you need to understand what is making the other person to do what he or she is doing. And the only way to understand is by talking about it. The only way to rule out all the assumptions, all the things you are carrying in the head is by talking about it. Please let us talk. It's important that we talk about it. It's not easy, but talking about it, it is going to make a lot of, it's going to write off a lot of things that you have in your head. So
What I'm saying now is, when you want to leave a relationship and you talk about it, sometimes you may finish talking and then
you
decide
discover that you don't want to live
continue
anymore.
the
Yeah.
You discover that if you had left,
Yes.
you would have left one of your most valuable relationships. It's true.
Yeah, that's why it's important to talk.
But the other thing too, I'm also saying here is, yes, important to talk, but if it's a dangerous, maybe life-threatening relationship where there's abuse,
Yeah.
friendship, like maybe you feel the person may beat you up or the person may do, I don't know.
Where there is abuse, you
don't have that.
No.
You just
Where
run
there is
for your life.
abuse, you run for your life.
Yeah.
And I know that we are not speaking in the context of marriage. We are speaking friendship generally.
Yeah.
But even in the context of marriage, you need to be alive to fulfill God's purpose for your life and even in that marriage. So you need to be alive first. And that's why when you enter anywhere, any company or factory or whatever, what do you see? Safety first. You say it's safety first, anytime, anywhere. What you could do in those instances is to get a third party who you trust and who the person also trusts in a way that can be like a go-between, that can be like a mediator, and the work of the person really is mediator. The moment the person takes sides, there's already a problem. The trust from both parties is already broken now. And that's why oftentimes in major reconciliation efforts, even in terms of countries against countries or with countries, they look for a neutral country. That's where they go to do the meeting. So that there's trust, you can build confidence. Then they bring a neutral person who is able to mediate. So that's also important. Look for someone who can be a go-between. So the person facilitates the discussion, but you still have to talk. But at least in this case, you are not in isolation with the person. The person cannot just beat you up or ruffle you or abuse you, whether verbally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, or otherwise. So that could also be something that is helpful. I've seen it work in a lot of places, and you can use that method. But be sure about the person you are bringing in, because mediation also is a skill, and some people are also gifted in some way in the art of mediation. So if the person is not a good mediator, it will go south. Don't bring the person. Just stay the way you are. Okay, so that could be another approach. But in an abusive relationship, friendship, there's no need to gamble it, especially if you are not yet married. This part touches me in a very, very sensitive place. You are not married, and the guy is hitting you. Hello. You don't. There's no. Don't gamble it. There's no need to go around it.
To talk about it. Just God has spoken expressly.
There is no trial. There is nothing.
He will change. Are you God to
allow
change
him
somebody?
to change first before you get into that kind of a marriage relationship, because it will not change. Anything you see in courtship, in marriage, is times 100 minimum times. It will be there. It will always be there. You know, there was this case. I once worked for a gender rights organization, and we had this case back some years ago, And the lady, the abuse started before they got married.
I hear many abusive marriages.
He's going to hit
most
her.
of them start
The parents will
before
be wondering,
marriage.
she hit her head on the bunk. She will say it was on the bunk. It was on the door. It was on the...
She
Are
fell
you
in
blind?
the-
Is it every time
she
you are
fell in
hitting?
the bathroom.
Are you
That's
always
also-
falling?
That's
sleep in
also
the
a signal
bathroom.
for family members.
Yeah.
Once you see your person always has injuries that don't make
She
sense,
fell from
it's
the
a red
bathroom.
flag.
It's
You
a red
too should
flag.
investigate
Yeah.
You should
and help your
investigate.
sister or your daughter or whatever.
That's
Don't
right.
let it pass.
That's right. Don't let it pass. So it's very
Okay, I have a
important.
few questions. Somebody
Yes.
sent me questions before we wrap up. It says, what steps can I take to form stronger bonds with my Christian sisters? 1. How can I be friends to my non-born again friends and still not let them corrupt my good manners? Maybe we'll start with that. Those 2 questions.
You want to form a bond with your
Stronger bond with Christian,
stronger.
to be friends with Christians. This person says he doesn't have Christian sisters, friends. So he wants to now have friends with Christian sisters.
You
He
are
just became a Christian.
You are a Christian sister. You are in a fellowship. As you fellowship with people, you will see people that connect with you. Like I said, it's not everybody in the fellowship that will be your friend. You can't have maybe a group of 15 people and everybody is your friend. One person will connect with you, like he discussed the issue of value, the issue of attraction. One person is going to connect, 1 or 2 persons will connect, and that's how you start your friendship with that that person and build it
It's gradual.
over time.
You
You
start
say
from
it's
the
yes,
veranda
so veranda, and
to
you
the
move
living room,
living room,
before you come to
exactly,
the dining,
to the
then the
dining.
kitchen, and then the room.
Then the room.
and
So
you
don't let
your
them to the room
non-Christian
straight.
friends, you have your boundaries. You stay where you are supposed to be and let them be where they are supposed to be.
Because
You
some people
can't.
may say, okay, maybe when you finish, Toby may address that you shouldn't have friends that are
No. You can't say you will not. Well, I don't know what you mean by friends with people who are not believers or who are not unbelievers, because you are not supposed to be their enemy. But then you have to define the kind of
Okay,
friends
some of them
that
were
you
your
have.
friends
They
before
were your
you
friends.
you came to know the Lord.
Not
What
the
did
Lord.
you do?
Now you have a value, and you have to bring out your value system and let them know. This is who I was. This is who I am now. There are some things I cannot tolerate. There are some. We used to go to club together. Now we can't because I am a Christian. Now I can't do it. I'm not your enemy. I'm not going to fight you. But there are some things we can't do together again. There are places we can't go together again. There are dresses we can't wear together again. So some of those things, you just redefine the relationship essentially.
Okay, Toby.
Yes, I agree with redefining the relationship. I think that you need to, it's good to befriend them, but you need to define what that friendship is, what the limits are, just like what she's saying. And Jesus is a perfect example for that. Jesus hung around with sinners. In fact, that was the chief problem that the Pharisees had.
They said he used to eat and
They
hang out
eat-
with
he
sinners.
said, this guy, how can you claim to be the way? How can you claim to be a Messiah? How can you claim to show us the way to God? Yet look at the people you are hanging around with. But you see, what was also interesting about Jesus' ministry is that he never left those people the way they were.
Exactly.
So every of his friendship was purposeful. It's also part of what we need to do. So you are not just hanging around unbelievers just to catch fun. No, the idea is that, yes, I'm supposed to bring about influence because that's part of the goals of friendship. You should be able to influence people positively. So it's a great opportunity for ministry to actually befriend people who are unbelievers, because then you have your opportunity to influence them free of charge. You don't need to go and meet them in some mission field. They are right there,
Right
you know.
before you.
And that's the true test of a believer who you are as well. When people can say that, no, Toby's life is different. It was when I
He
was
has
working with Toby
changed.
that I learned how to be honest. That's why I learned how to be truthful. That's why I learned not to be hypocritical. That's why I learned that Jesus is the way to the Father, and he showed it through the life he was living. So to have those friends is beautiful. Hang around them as much as you can, but in terms of influence, it must be you over them, not the other way around. That's where the problem comes. Some people don't have a strong will sufficiently to influence people. Every little thing, they are influenced. Whatever is said, they are influenced. That kind of person, until you have the ability to influence people, you can't befriend unbelievers because they will definitely influence you.
that.
So it's about influence.
I think for
also.
me, that's one of the things that, you know, when I became serious with my work with God, I knew that some people would influence me negatively. So I kind of withdrew because I knew that maybe their power was more than my own. But over time, when I was
have
now
built
stronger,
yourself.
I built
Yeah.
myself, I now relate with them.
Exactly.
And they know my value system. So even something they say, we know say you know go follow us. I say, I won't
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
But so they know my value system. But when they need prayer, they need whatever,
They will come
call
to you, yeah.
and all that. Sometimes you say, you know, this thing, you too can pray. You too can have a relationship with Jesus. They say, leave that, leave that. You know, but now I know that they can't influence me. So I allow them come that close. But if you know that they will influence you negatively, keep them at bay.
Yes,
so that you don't risk it. And you know, I really feel, you know, that our viewers need to, there's somebody watching us now that needs to hear this thing that you have just said. Do not apologize for being a Christian.
Oh yes. Oh
Don't
yes.
do it.
Oh yes.
If the people you call friends around you make you uncomfortable because you're a Christian, you're in the wrong camp.
Exactly.
Don't apologize. Don't be sorry. Your phone rings, then it's a gospel song or something. Then you quickly press it or read it.
So that
no.
Because
Because you feel embarrassed. You feel like no, it doesn't measure up to the standard. Don't apologize. You know why you shouldn't apologize? Because it took the blood of Jesus to buy you over. And so don't apologize. You live the life. You have the real thing. You have the authentic thing. You have the real life, the authentic life. The highest form of life is Zoe life, and that's what you have. So don't be intimidated by your friends or people that are around you. Be confident that you love Jesus, you believe in Jesus. And you know, this is what we are preaching, that we need young people especially who are confident about their faith in Jesus and that can share their faith, you know, in Jesus with other people. That I am a Jesus person, I love Jesus, and I'm not sorry that I love Jesus.
Don't let them talk down at you.
Don't let
Don't
them
let them intimidate you. Stand up for Jesus. If you don't have the lever to stand up to them, change your friends.
Yes,
Keep them
change your
at bay
friends.
till you are strong
and
enough
when you are strong enough,
to
you
be
can
all that
face
you're
them.
supposed
Yeah.
to be. So this episode we've been talking about friendship, and today we've talked about toxic relationships, how to walk away from them, how to have difficult conversations, not even just for walking out from toxic relationships, but across board. We must learn how to have difficult conversations. If we're going to be better Christians, if we're going to help other people grow, we must have difficult conversations, and we've talked about that. And then how to handle unbelieving friends, you know, friends who don't share our faith and our belief system, how to handle them and what to do. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated. You must be the influence in that relationship. You must know who you are. You must know that you have the right life. And if you have problems with that, you have not developed the strength to stand. Keep those kind of friends at bay. When you are strong, you can enter the battlefield with them, you know, to influence them positively for Jesus. So let's go out there, be the kind of friends that we want to have. Be a good friend. And if you have a relationship that is not working, have that difficult conversation and walk away. God bless us all. We thank again Mrs. Namo, Mr. Salau for being in this on this episode with me. And my name again is Amaka Ocheke. God bless you, and let's keep living and shining for Jesus. Till we see you again next time.